ready? Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm honored to be here today alongside Cyril Turton, the Minister of Children and Family Services, and Jennifer Martin, the CEO of the Little Warriors. As the Little Warriors Board co-chair, I have the privilege of being your MC today. I am pleased to be here in the traditional territory of Treaty 6, and I acknowledge the Métis people of Alberta who share a deep history with this land. I personally commend Little Warriors team and staff for your tireless dedication and selfless work to help children and youth recover from the impacts of sexual abuse. You all sincerely want to see children and youth become healthy and whole as they process their trauma and walk along their healing journey. I now invite Minister Turton up to the podium to share the great news he is announcing here today.
Well, thank you very much, Deli, for that introduction, and good morning, everyone. I'd like to begin by thanking Little Warriors for graciously hosting us here at the Be Brave Branch, and to all the local leaders and community members for being here today. I also just want to thank Minister Glubish, who is the MLA for Strathcona Sherwood Park, for hosting us here in his beautiful riding here this morning. I think I can safely say that everyone in this room shares the same belief that Alberta's government has, that no child or youth should ever have to deal with the traumatizing and lifelong impacts of sexual violence. The sad and troubling reality is that 1 in 3 Albertans have experienced sexual abuse while under the age of 18. That includes 24% of boys and 44% of girls, according to the Alberta Association of Sexual Assault Services. Now, these aren't easy statistics to take in, especially when recognizing that those numbers represent children and teens who have had their world shattered and are now battling depression, anxiety, PTSD, and struggle with trusting those around them. And that's why it's so important to me as Minister of Children and Family Services that our government continues to take action to ensure that young survivors are able to get the help and compassionate support that they need, as well as prevent child sexual abuse from happening in the first place. I'm so grateful that we share that commitment with many amazing organizations and partners across the province, including the one that we're here in today. And that's why I'm so honored to announce that Alberta's government is providing $5 million in funding over 3 years to Little Warriors to support their courageous efforts to help children and youth recover from child sexual abuse. Little Warriors is an Alberta-based organization, and they have spent the last decade raising awareness around child sexual abuse, working to prevent abuse from happening in the first place, advocating on behalf of survivors, and of course providing treatment so that the negative experiences that these children and youth go through do not define the rest of their lives. Their treatment facility, the Be Brave Ranch, is the first and only facility of its kind in the country. It offers survivors a safe haven and the time to process what they've been through and take that first step in their healing journey. I toured this facility earlier this year, and it's fitting that it has a camp-like setting. Because just like camp for many children, what happens here, and I'm sure those from Little Warriors will agree, is really special. The best example is taking a look at the handprints that survivors who have gone through the treatment program have left behind in the art room. Each of those, and there's a lot of them, is a young life that has been changed for the better. That's a testament of not only their trauma-informed, evidence-based approach, but the great care and compassion of the staff who work here, from the clinical staff who help them work through and overcome their feelings, to those running different activities like art, animal and sensory therapy, yoga and nature walks to help them find their voice and express themselves, as well as a kitchen staff who make sure the menus are customized for every child, in case any of the foods are triggering for them stemming from their abuse. Through this new additional funding, more children and youth will be able to access their mental, emotional, and physical well-being supports through Little Warriors programs. And that doesn't begin to touch on their education initiatives, so children and families can learn how to protect themselves and spot for signs of abuse, and increasing their advocacy and commitment to continually improving how they can help survivors with increasing complex needs. It's unfortunate that Little Warriors and the Be Brave Ranch need to exist in the first place, but I'm comforted by the fact that they are here to support not just the survivors, but the families who are working through their own difficult emotions about their child being victimized. And this ensures that Alberta has a diverse, fulsome range of supports for those who have experienced sexual abuse. Now, this announcement is the latest in our government's ongoing efforts to protect vulnerable Albertans. And I was pleased to deliver on our commitment to provide women's shelters and sexual assault centers an additional $10 million for each earlier this year. And we will continue to invest $3.4 million annually in child and youth advocacy centers. Our government is continuing our work to end gender-based violence, and we will continue to work with our partners to provide fulsome supports to Albertans so they have the supports they need when they need them. And keeping children safe is everybody's responsibility. And I encourage every Albertan to learn how to recognize the signs of child abuse and neglect, and how to report concerns about a child's well-being. Do not wait. Report your concerns by calling the Child Intervention Provincial Intake Line at 1-800-638-0715. On behalf of Alberta's government, thank you again to the Little Warriors and the community leaders and supporters here today for your dedication to protecting children and youth. Thank you to Little Warriors and all your staff and volunteers for wearing your hearts on your sleeve. I know helping children and youth overcome their trauma, it's not easy, but your work and dedication has a profound impact on the lives, and the importance of what you do should never be underestimated. And thank you to any survivors who may be watching for your courage and resiliency. Alberta is a better place because you are here, and our government will continue to make sure the supports and help you need are available when you are ready for it. Thank you.
A sincere thank you to Minister Turton and his team. I'm so proud our government is stepping up to help more young survivors. I'd now like to invite Jennifer Martin, the CEO of Little Warriors, to the podium to say a few words on how this news will help our organization and the vulnerable children and youth they serve.
Thanks so much, Deli, and also thank you to our other board members who are here today. They're volunteers. We couldn't do it without you. And to all of the supporters and staff here, thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Minister Turton, for your words and your support. On behalf of everyone at Little Warriors, I would like to welcome everyone here to our Be Brave Ranch. And this $5 million investment from Alberta's government is truly a game changer for Little Warriors and for the many vulnerable children and youth in our province that we serve. Through this additional funding, we can help more kids get their childhoods back and find their voices again, help them heal from the physical, mental, and emotional effects of their sexual abuse trauma. I'd like to tell everyone a little bit more about the work we do and our organization. Little Warriors is a national charitable organization based right here in our province. We are focused on awareness, prevention, and treatment of child sexual abuse. We also advocate on behalf of and work with survivors. Our Be Brave Ranch is a specialized, intensive trauma-informed and evidence-based treatment center focused on helping children, teens, and their families impacted by complex trauma caused by child sexual abuse. The ranch offers a one-year program that is a combination of on-site and outpatient therapy, designed with significant input from many leading academic and clinical experts who specialize in treating child sexual abuse and trauma. We have published numerous research articles in well-known publications, and typically Little Warriors has always invested about $100,000 annually on research over the past decade. Our commitment to evidence-based care and measured outcomes continues. It's key to providing the best possible treatment and help to survivors of child sexual abuse. Independent research shows that for every $1 invested in Little Warriors, our programs save $11 in social services because children and teens that we serve go on to avoid addiction, criminal justice interactions, healthcare needs, and other services due to their improved outcomes. That gives you some insight into what kind of impact the $5 million will have in helping more children, youth, and families across Alberta who are impacted by child sexual abuse to get the supports and the services that they need. It will help us change the lives of so many young people across our province, as well as the lives of families walking alongside their children as they all recover from the impact of child sexual abuse. Thank you once again to Minister Cyril Turton and Alberta's government for this commitment. It will truly make such a meaningful difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer, for your words and for all the incredible work your team at the Little Warriors does every day. To speak a little more on the impact of this organization, I invite Dr. Wanda Polzen-Holman, the clinical director of the Be Brave Ranch, to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. Wow, I am just so thrilled as the clinical director at Little Warriors in the Be Brave Ranch to be able to celebrate today and celebrate the amazing contributions of the Alberta government today. This has been a long time coming for us, and we have continued to work really hard as an organization and as a clinical team. Our clinical team is built of a multidisciplinary group of folks who come together to support children in our children's program, ages 8 to 12 years old. Our teen program serves adolescents age 13 to 18. And most recently, we have also opened up a family program. Our program is evidence-based, as has been mentioned, and we work in collaboration with the University of Alberta and our Scientific and Clinical Council to be able to ensure that we are offering leading practice and that our outcomes are informed and our programs are informed with the best trauma treatment that is offered. As we continue on this journey with other stakeholders in the community, Dogs with Wings Rugby and myself are just so proud of the work that's been done, and note that there's so many people who come together, whether it's donors or therapists, other stakeholders that we continue to work with, and we hope that the work that we continue to do continues to build the capacity that's needed, unfortunately, as we see the rates in child sexual abuse continue to increase. So thank you today on behalf of the children, the teens, and the families that we serve. We're just so grateful for this opportunity to continue to serve in an evidence-informed manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Polzen-Holman, for sharing some of that information with us. We certainly appreciate it. Last but certainly not least, I'd like to invite a big supporter and a great man, Paul Collins of Collins Steel, to say a few words about the impact Little Warriors has.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for inviting me out today and considering me as a voice for Little Warriors. I support Little Warriors because the work they do is based on compassion. In their compassionate work, they relieve children from the trauma of sexual abuse and help them live healthy and happy lives. This organization transforms sexual abuse victims into a people who strengthen the fabric of society. It's truly a pleasure to be here today to witness the partnership being formed between Little Warriors and the Government of Alberta. Thanks to Minister Torton and the Cabinet for the vision to recognize the importance of the work that's carried out here, and the return on the investment will be beyond measure. Truly a great day for Little Warriors and all who are involved in this compassionate work since its inception. We've had many people before us, and surely there'll be many people after us. But thank you to everybody along the way. We as stakeholders in Little Warriors are very grateful, and we really look forward to great things coming forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul. As you've all heard here today, Little Warriors is making a monumental difference in the lives of the children and youth traumatized by sexual abuse. As our board co-chair, I am tremendously proud of the work the organization does each and every day to help those children. The compassion you have for survivors is inspiring, and I'm grateful the Alberta government is able to support you all. I know this investment will help ensure survivors get the help and healing they need for a brighter future. I will now turn things over to Children and Family Press Secretary Ashley Barrett for the Q&A portion of the announcement.
All right, thank you everybody for joining us. We will now move on to the Q&A. I ask the reporters please state their first name and their last name and their outlet and who they are directing their question to. I will start with questions in the room.
Hello, Morgan Black with Global Edmonton. I'll try and direct each question to the right person. So I think the first one will be for Mr. Turton. You are already stepping up to the plate. I appreciate that. You mentioned, kind of the ongoing funding annually that you give various centers that help children experiencing abuse. How would the government characterize further need or the scope of, what more supports are needed to make? We heard that rates are rising, so.
Yeah, no, great question. Since I've been appointed as minister just over a year ago, traveling around the province and talking with the families and the kids, I clearly have heard their cries for help in terms of additional supports in this area, and that's why I was very excited to be working with Little Warriors as well as other organizations around the province as well. My door is always open. For myself, programs like we have here at Little Warriors really begin that first step for a child to heal. And I'm a dad myself, and I understand the impact and how vulnerable sometimes our children can be. And so knowing that there's organizations like Little Warriors that are stepping up to provide the help that these children need is immense value, not just for the province, but for so many families. So I'm looking forward to having ongoing conversations with other organizations around the province. And I think, the children of this province will be better off because of those types of conversations and the investments that our government has made into programs like Little Warriors.
My next question is for Ms. Martin, please. Hello. I'm wondering if you can give us kind of a firmer figure on how many more children and youth will be able to be helped through this $5 million investment over the 3 years.
So typically we would serve about 500 individuals per year in a combination of our teen program, our children's program, and our family program. And we also have prevention programs that serve 7,000 people across Canada take it. But primarily this funding is for on-site here at the ranch. And what it means is that, we've just received the funding now. We've received one installment, and that going forward, we can look at serving more children. So we don't have a number on that yet, but what it honestly does for now too is it relieves the pressure. Charitable organizations in Alberta, as well as across the country, have been really hit hard by inflation. There's been changes to CRA rules for donors, and so we are constantly feeling up against our budget. And so what this funding does is to, first of all, ensure that we can maintain the rates we have, and then throughout the course of the 3 years, look at ways that we can potentially expand those. So our board will consider what and where does that look like. Our mandate is to part of it is to certainly heal children. So this funding will be looking at that going forward.
And we know it's a one-of-a-kind center. I believe it was in Canada, right? One of a kind. Similar question to Minister Turton. Do you think there's a need for more spaces like this in our province, or even an expansion of Little Warriors services?
Absolutely. Little Warriors was created by Albertans right here in Alberta, and it's a national treasure. The things that we are doing here are evidence-based, created in partnership with our partners at the Psychiatric Department at the University of Alberta. So we know it works. It's been 10 years, and because we measure our outcomes, we are ready to start saying, what next? And I think that, we have a great board of directors, and together with the clinical team here, we'll look at what that involves. But the need is massive. We are seeing exponential growth in child sexual abuse. We're seeing rising acuity since COVID. No one in the space is really sure why just yet, not a huge chance to research that. But rising acuity means what we're seeing in the cases is exactly that, more acute. It's just worse. The kids walk by my window and my office doors right here where we're standing, and especially you see an 8-year-old boy or girl or a 17-year-old teen, and I just think, what did someone do to you? And so they're here through no fault of their own. We have people that like to help out with our downtowns, and it's something across the province and the country. Well, if you don't want someone sleeping on the sidewalk and treating their pain with addiction, or winding up in a tent or in our emergency rooms, this is one way that we can help them 10 years before they might wind up there. So I really applaud this minister's vision, super proactive. Let's help kids who need it when they need it. We should be considered really no different than a children's hospital that serves complex, specialized cases that need a specialist to care for them. That's what we're doing here at Little Warriors.
And then my final question is for Dr. Polson-Homan. And my question for you is just, what makes this space so effective and work so well from the medical side of things?
Yeah, so I think the moment that you walk onto our property, people reflect and feel safe right away. I think our clinical team has done a phenomenal job of intertwining different evidence-based treatment. So we look at multimodal treatment, whether that's art therapy, music therapy. We do individual therapy, group therapy, family therapy, and we weave that in for each child and each teen and their family or caregiver. What's different is that we are also episodically based, so we work with very acute trauma, and when the child or teen comes to us along with their family, we serve them in episodes of care to allow them time in between rounds of therapy to be able to build their skills, both from the perspective of the child but also the caregiver, and support the community supports around them to be successful.
That's it from me.
All right, we will now move to the phones. Operator, put through the first caller, please.
Janet French, CBC. Hi there. Could you please tell me, how did this funding arrangement come to be? Is it a grant? Was there an RFP for this service? Did Little Warriors lobby the government for this funding?
Yes, thank you so much for the question. So it really came about conversations with Little Warriors since being appointed as minister over the last year. And as a government, as a minister, we're always on the lookout for innovative new programs that can help children, especially on their first step to healing. So it is a 3-year program at this point. I look forward to working with the Little Warriors team, seeing the positive results that they can do, and continuing those conversations about how, as a government, we can help support those kids and those vulnerable kids, and ensuring that they receive the supports that they need.
Did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, if you could just clarify if this organization received any provincial government funding previously. But also, what about the longer term? If you're trying to build capacity in a program, 3 years of funding is great for that 3 years, but what about beyond that time window?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because Minister Turton is right here, and I'm sure in 3 years we'll be asking the same. I will just address the first part for you. Happy to help there. The government of Alberta, before Minister Turton took over the portfolio, was supportive of Little Warriors. There is money available for programs like ours through arrangements, contracts, you could call them, with Children and Family Services. Numerous agencies have them. There can be red tape involved. So before it might have been that, well, it was that we would take a child, we would treat them regardless of whether we knew if that Alberta child or teen would get any support through other avenues. We're barrier free, so we just always make sure that if a child, teen, or their family needs our help, we serve first and ask questions about money later. So there was some support, but there was really, I would call it a drop in the bucket in our $5 million budget that was flowing through. So what Minister Turton has done is provided a grant to answer your question, where the money comes first because we are operating right now, and we make sure that we are serving Alberta children and teens as we always do throughout the 3 years with some great reporting, including their outcomes and our budgets. And so I think a really responsible grant, and it provides help up front as opposed to us serving the child or teen and then having to kind of jump through bureaucratic red tape to secure support after the fact. So red tape reduction at its finest.
Operator, put through the next caller, please.
Jonathan Bradley, Western Standard. Hello, my question is for Minister Turton. So you said the Alberta government was providing $5 million to Little Warriors over the next 3 years. How did you decide on the amount being $5 million?
Well, no, a great question. So, obviously in conversations with Little Warriors, we kind of looked at what it would actually take to provide a safe place for children to receive the care that they have. I know that there's always conversations about more funding, but in this case, I think the funds will be put to well use. I know Little Warriors has a long proven track record in terms of providing services to vulnerable children, and look forward to seeing how over the next 3 years, in terms of the metrics, making sure that the Albertans are being served with these funds, and just seeing the incredible success stories about children receiving the care and help that they require just to continue on their healing journey as they deal with sexual abuse.
Did you have a follow-up?
You spoke about, yes, you spoke about this funding going to allow people to access trauma-informed, evidence-based treatment programs. Why do trauma-informed, evidence-based treatment programs matter when it comes to sexual violence?
So we want to make sure that children are looked after. We want to make sure that limited tax dollars are put to good use, that there is a positive benefit from children being looked after, and we want to be able to show accountability that the government is investing these dollars wisely. So that's why we put in a number of metrics we're looking forward to seeing at the end of these 3 years and during the process. Make sure that the programs will offer the results that we know that they need to in order to keep children safe. And for us, it's just another example of how, as a government, that we are being responsible with taxpayer dollars.
All right, operator, are there any more callers?
There are no other questions in the queue at this time.
All right, and seeing no more questions in the room, that concludes our press conference. Thank you for being here today.